Hello everyone, you are watching a snippet of the countdown program from September 4, 2023. Today is Monday. See the full version on Patreon. Also in the $7 package, see postscript, something that has gone by the wayside, but you can't miss it. And I'm moving on to the main thing. Erdogan is meeting with Putin today. The last time he flew to Sochi was more than a year ago, on August 5, 2022. In connection with Erdogan's visit, passenger planes from Chelyabinsk, Novosibirsk, Omsk, Irkutsk and Moscow, bound for Sochi, were sent to a waiting area over the Black Sea, where they dangled until the Turkish leader landed. Monarchies are not proud, they will wait, hovering between heaven and earth. And in the boyish media, an intimate, breathy atmosphere reigns. Turkish media praise Erdogan, and Russian propagandists mold Putin into a figure of a dwarf god. Everything is in the hands of the bald man. It is to him, like a mountain, Mohammed Erdogan goes, and the bald man condescendingly accepts him. According to the serfs, it is Putin who will weigh and decide whether to return to the grain deal or send the Turkish sultan to hell. But Turkish journalists ecstatically moan in their own way. President Erdogan is the only person who can meet with both Zelensky and Putin and solve the problem of the grain corridor. Ankara approaches the grain corridor with caution, but with hope, they exclaim, adding, "The attention of the world is on this meeting. Hopes for an agreement on a grain corridor have been revived." End of quote. Bloomberg has no illusions that a flurry of Russian drone strikes on Ukrainian port facilities has set a grim tone ahead of the talks. Meanwhile, in addition to the issue of the grain deal and the war in Ukraine, Putin is very itchy about the transit of Russian gas and the war in Syria, where Erdogan can get into at any moment. By the way, Roman Abramovich has already rushed to Sochi and will take part in the expanded meeting. It looks like he is being dressed up as a dove of peace, because he once negotiated with Kiev. True, not entirely successful. And, although observers expect that the Turkish kid will once again offer St. Petersburg his mediation in resolving the war in Ukraine, Putin will not leave there on Kiev's terms. He is the guarantor of war and death, not peace and life. And it is not the head of Turkey who should talk to him, but a revolver. Preferably a large caliber. Become our patrons now and look further in this program. Zelensky announced that he was changing the country's defense minister. Alexei Reznikov has already submitted his resignation to the Verkhovna Rada. Rustam Umarov can be approved in his place. Crimean Tatar by nationality. The pattern about Nazism in Ukraine is bursting at the seams again. Xi Jinping decided to ignore the summit in India, which will be held from 7 to 10 September. Instead of the Chinese leader, Prime Minister Li Qiang will go there. In the cave, they try to present this démarche as a sign of solidarity with the bald man, while Xi stays at home to deal with the economic problems of China, where one of the country's largest developers is on the verge of default. The curse of Uncle Sam overtakes the fascist rich around the world. Since the beginning of Russia's full-scale war against Ukraine, the US has seized more than $1 billion of private Russian assets in other countries. This was announced by Deputy US Attorney General Lisa Monaco. The furries start whining even louder. After all, everything is more expensive. In the Tomsk region, bread producers announced plans to raise prices for their products by up to 20% in September. The Public Opinion Foundation presented the results of the latest measurements of woolen moods in the cave. In the event of a black swan, or an unpopular decision by the authorities, public sentiment can change dramatically in the direction of increased anxiety and social discontent. That is, changing shoes in the air will happen massively and at lightning speed. From the image of a predator, the furry can instantly transform into a dove of peace. He really thinks that if he shaves and rolls himself in feathers, then everyone will believe him, understand and forgive him. And plaster is already falling off the imperial facade. The old propagandist Garbuzov wrote a seditious text, after which he was removed from the post of director of the Institute for the USA and Canada. About all this, see the stories in the program Postscript. And it's all. The most important thing is on Patreon. Subscribe and watch our programs in full. And thank you for choosing Sotnik-TV. Hugs to all. See you on Thursday. Glory to Ukraine.